And we're live, yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. Another day of Galfond Challenge. Nutraisin is joining me. My name's Runchuks. Yeah, I didn't see the action yesterday either. I just tuned in at some point and I saw, okay, we're on party poker right now. What's going on? So let's see. For now, we only have one table, as you can see, guys. There's some technical issue, so unfortunately we don't see the other table. Hopefully Party Poker can sort it out for us. Yeah, and I just found Nick sent us a message that Run It Once updated the hand count, and you guys can see it on Twitter. Wait, so no, yesterday he only lost 95, so he's up 300K.
Oh, okay. So apparently you had the wrong number there.
Yeah, I guess Phil made a bit of a comeback because at one point he was definitely losing close to 200, if not more. Yeah, 95 is what he lost.
Okay. We see now the 10-5 made two pair. Phil called with a 10 and an open-ender and loses it to Actionfreak for the first all-in pot of the session. Yet another 3-bet pots on a Jack 10-3. 2 clubs. And Phil c-betting for half pot this time, all right?
And obviously, these are technical issues that, you know, I suppose both players knew that this might happen because, you know, it's pretty hard to get the money in on a quickly to a site because, you know, obviously Run It Once is a serious site, all regulated, so you can't just send in like player-to-player transfer real quick. It all has to go through official channels.
Yeah, especially if you're talking amounts in the $100,000s of dollars at least.
Yeah. Well, but to be honest, like for Run It Once and any other serious site, you know, it shouldn't matter what the amount is. It's just the procedure is the procedure, and you have to follow the procedure. So that's how it is. For a pretty huge pot.
I was going to say. So Phil bet c-bet half on the flop, got called. On the turn, he bet small and got raised, I believe, by Actionfreak and called. And now Actionfreak goes for the pot. Phil calls with Jack 10 and they split it up.
Yep.
So Phil was kind of free rolling Actionfreak a little bit. He could have turned a better full house. It's probably perception bias, but we've seen a lot of 10-10 boards with a flush. Doesn't mean anything, but I just noticed.
Yeah.
Bet on a call, small bet on a call on table 1. Need to ask 2 quick questions. How did yesterday end? Are we up currently today? For today, we don't know. And yesterday, Actionfreak was up around 95K, I believe. He's gone for the aggressive route on table 1 as well. Raising the turn bet. So on table 2, what's the lowest Actionfreak calls there? Like ace king sometimes? Something like that? If you just don't believe in the full house? Or just pocket pairs?
Yeah. No, well, he is gonna call with ace king occasionally, but the thing is, which ace king does he have? Because it was a single raise pot. He was on the big blind. He didn't 3-bet. So, a lot of those ace kings would have been a 3-bet already. Obviously, there's a fair chunk of them which are not. So he still has them. But yeah, basically ace high has to look him up occasionally. And obviously most of the pairs, like it's pretty hard to fold a pair there. Because obviously Phil is going to be bluffing often enough, Very often you can just adapt to the tendencies of your opponent who is not bluffing enough. Wow,
on
big
table
raise.
1. Wow.
All right. So
was Actionfreak just waiting for Phil's bet here? Apparently, yes.
And we have to remember that Phil was check raising, or Phil check raised on the turn.
Right. So he showed strength.
He showed strength, yeah, but clearly Actionfreak most likely had it. I mean, it's pretty hard to see how he's going to be bluffing here. So another one of his favorite half-pot size bets by Actionfreak.
Yep. And we've seen that on similar boards as well, where there were 2-2 a flush and 2-2 a straight, I seem to recall.
Yeah, that's right. But in general, I mean, the smaller size is going to be dominant on most boards in a 3-bet pot in a heads-up situation. So it's not surprising. It's just interesting that he's choosing half pot as opposed to any other bet size. But, half pot is perfectly valid, so why not?
Yeah. Checks on a turn to Phil, which is interesting because this turn is as blank as they come pretty much on this board.
Yeah,
4.
That's right. 4 is a pretty blank one. Well, 6 obviously completes a bunch of stuff, and completes also just things like 2-pair as well. It doesn't have to always be the straight.
No, sure, like a 9-8 with a gutter or something, or a 9-6 cut there, for example, an 8-6, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It did balloon up to a 10K pot there. It's surreal how quickly the 10K pots become the small pots when you see binds changing hands every once in a while. It's just a 10K pot.
Yeah, it's just 36 big blinds, so not a big deal.
Yeah, if you put it like that. On table 2, there was a flush against a full house. Didn't balloon into a big pot there either. Actually taking it down with a full house. And Phil gone for half pot on table 1. Actually taken quite some time to decide this time around. Not a quick decision on his part. He got called, right? And Phil
he got called, and Phil won with the really, really small 2-pair, I believe, what he had, 6 deuce.
6 deuce, right?
Yeah, he rivered a 6. So, like we were discussing, a 6 indeed completes a lot of 2-pair. I wasn't thinking of 6 deuce necessarily, but 6 deuce is one of them, and Phil got paid. Beautiful.
But I guess the bet sort of made sense. I mean, he had that 7 blocking straights, 2 hearts, and decided to bet.
Well, having 2 hearts doesn't really change much for Phil because, the types of hands that can call are, or what he's hoping to see a call from, are 1-pair type of hand, right? So if Phil has the hearts himself, it's less likely that Actionfreak actually was on a draw. So it's actually great for Phil. The fact that Phil had 2 hearts there, the only thing that it changes is that if he didn't have those 2 hearts, he probably wouldn't be calling the flop.
Good point, yeah.
Although he did have a 7-6 as well, right? So 7-6 open-ender and hearts and the bottom pair. So in fact, he probably, if he didn't have hearts, maybe still calling. Oh, by the way, while we're discussing that, we have a huge pot on the
61K.
right.
A set versus, what was it? The nut flush draw? The set holds true. Just a pure nut flush draw. Kind of interesting.
So apparently yesterday it went 120,000 deep effective at some point.
Oh, yeah. That's what, what are they playing for? 30K? That's 4 buy-ins? Sheesh.
That's 4 buy-ins, yeah, that's 4 buy-ins. 400 big blinds. Well, I have mixed feelings about it because sometimes in these really deep spots you see less action. But when you see action, then it's obviously huge pots and it's beautiful. But mostly, when the money goes in these really, really deep spots, it's just the setup because it has to be, right? Obviously there's going to be situations where they're going to be bluffing, but it's unlikely that somebody's just going to go bluff off a complete nonsense hand for 400 big blinds.
I would assume so. So it's either a setup or like 2 monsters, like a monster made hand versus a monster draw, which is still interesting to watch.
Oh, it's absolutely interesting. But if we're playing 100 big blinds deep, there's just going to be way more action, way more stacks changing hands because people are going to be playing back a bit more aggressive. There's going to be more 3-betting. There's going to be more continuation c-betting in the 3-bet pots, all of the good stuff. And on average, we see way more going on.
Speaking of action, a bet raise, I believe, on the flop got called on table 1. Now the king rolls off, completing 2 straights and adding a bunch of other draws. Well, a other draw, the flush draw. Phil goes for 3/4. This could be a big one.
Yeah,
this could be the 100K.
More like, but it's interesting his bet size choice. 2/3. He leaves a bit like around 2/3 for the river as well, which is obviously nicely done.
Yeah.
Because this could be potentially a huge pot, but what we're going to see more often than not is Phil going all in, Actionfreak folding, but Phil does go all in. So let's see if Actionfreak finds a call. Not an easy call for him because obviously, there's a bunch of straights, a bunch of things Phil could have.
And this could be a pot well over 100K.
Yeah, you're right.
Or around 100K. Wow, let's see. A bit of tanking going on here. I certainly understand. I would be tanking. Oh! What's happening?
And yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. Well, Actionfreak had a set, and Phil was... oh, wait. Actionfreak actually had 10-9 for a straight.
He had a 10-9, and Phil had 2 10s for the outlet blockers. Oh, the 4-bet pot. That's a third one we've seen today. One of them got folded by the 3-better. Let's see what happens this time. Actionfreak sitting on 100 BB here. Did we ever see a 5-bet pot? I don't think so, pre-flop.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it just got in. Oh, there you go.
How
wow,
about that? Yeah.
Good timing.
Perfect timing, yeah. Well, let's see if we're going to see a 4-bet fold by Phil. That would be...
That's something else.
It's possible.
My guess, yeah. Because this is like shown really a lot of strength.
This board definitely connects well to Phil. Actionfreak at this stage is sitting with a lot of aces and some ace, king, king. So Phil is going to call here with his
kings versus... Wow, no.
Unfortunately, it goes to Actionfreak.
Wow, what a river card. So Actionfreak 4-betting with the ace, king, jack, jack, I believe, or ace, queen, jack, jack? Ace, queen, jack, jack, I believe.
King, jack, jack, yeah.
Wow. That was a tough one. Losing to the runner, not to the runner, just the gutter. 4 outs, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the gutter.
I guess there might have been a backdoor flush draw, but that doesn't really add that much equity. It adds a little bit.
It does add a little bit of equity, but yeah, well, obviously, Phil, I don't think he's going to be too affected with this spot. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it really sucks. You get it in almost amazingly great. I do assume that Phil probably thought that he's facing aces. That would be way too much, right? So he was absolutely thrilled to see that board. In fact, he was ahead even pre-flop, as Actionfreak just had ace jack jack.
Yeah. And they had quite a bit, I would say, sort of unusually for PLO.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh well, yeah, definitely almost slipped through the cracks.
I was talking about the fact that tomorrow, instead of taking a day off, Phil is going to be playing Jungle Man for a mini challenge, 750 hands.
You know, obviously, just as one would do on a Wednesday.
Exactly. Like when your opponent, Actionfreak, is going to be relaxing, recuperating, getting ready for Thursday, you just randomly decide, okay, Jungle Man, let's go. 750 hands. So that's going to be really exciting. It's going to be streamed. So you tune in and enjoy it. It's going to be good fun. 750 hands. And the winner... No, wait, the loser. The loser is going to have to write an article about why the other guy is a better player and a better man, basically. So it's really, really high stakes side bet, if you ask me. I mean, I think it's pretty crazy. And yeah, like Nutraisin was pointing it out to me that it really sounds like a Jungleman idea, and I do agree. It does sound very much like a Jungleman idea, but what a great idea, though.
Oh God, for that one I have to tune in. In the meanwhile, we see a pot-sized bet on table 1, where pretty dynamic card rolled off, completing one straight, but also putting a bunch of draws out there, putting a bunch of 2 pairs out there.
Yeah.
And Phil calls. So the hearts didn't get there, but the 8-7 did, I guess. Gonna be interesting to see what Actionfreak does now that Phil checks to him. In a 26k pot, no less. Takes it down with a set of 5s.
Yeah, but also we have to remember that in the beginning, Phil was 3-betting way too much.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
So his range, the continuation range on the flop, was way off balance. Just because 3-betting way too much with the wrong type of hands. So in this case, I mean, Phil definitely worked on that part of his game, and he definitely fixed all of that. So
yep, that was apparent even to me. That's true. Decent sized pot shaping up on table 2. $10K in the middle though. Could be a big one. I unfortunately don't know how we got here on table 2. I would assume a 3-bet pot and a bet call on the flop.
Bets, that sounds about right, because like 18 big blinds on the flop, 9 c-bet 9 call, that would be 36. That's 10,800.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Sounds right. And check on the flop, on the turn, sorry, which didn't immediately change the board much. Brought in a whole bunch of draws though. And now with the pot size bet on the river by Phil. This time he doesn't have to pocket tens. This time he actually has it for the nuts. And gets a call. Must feel good. Wow, 4-bet pot. Only the 4th of the day, I believe.
Yeah, we did see one 5-bet. So we also saw one fold. Did we see a fold to a 4-bet?
Yep.
Oh, another 5-bet. All right, let's go.
Oh, you're kidding
Phil
me.
just gets it in really quickly. And Phil does have, well, it's aces against
what
aces,
a turn.
and yeah. Wow.
Okay, they do split it up, right?
Yeah, they do split it up, and probably a bit of a stressful moment there for a moment.
I think so. I think Phil was a little bit stressed on the flop, and maybe Actionfreak got a little bit worried on the turn.
Yeah.
Phew. That's one where in either player's shoes, I would be like, okay, happy to split this one. That's all good. Fair enough.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, you can't complain about splitting aces against aces.
Yeah. And both had very nice looking aces too.
Oh, yeah.
The 4-bet horn. Yeah, for that one, the 4-bet horn would have been fine, but that's Stapes' thing. I don't think we are contractually allowed to implement a 4-bet horn without Stapes' approval.
That's probably true, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to talk to my lawyers again.
I wouldn't touch his horn even if he asked me, so I don't...
No. I'm not worthy of the horn. Pretty snappy pot size bet on table 1. And Phil calls. And checks to Actionfreak, who pots it yet again. Quick call by the flush. Actionfreak had the pure blocker, I believe. A whole bunch of blockers. I guess he had a... Well, actually not a whole bunch. He had a gutter on the turn.
Yeah, he had a gutter on the turn, and he just played his nut flush blocker in an aggressive way.
A very aggressive way, yeah. That's not a line I could come up with. Very impressive.
So I believe Phil is still down for the session. I mean, again, we keep repeating, we don't know what happened in the table that was off stream for us in the first 45 minutes or so, but from the two tables that we see, a really rough sort of guesstimate would be that Phil is down about 2 buy-ins at the moment.
Sounds right to me, yeah.
Okay, a check raise, no, just a raise on the turn. On the second table, on the table on the right.
Might be down a buy-in less after this one.
Or more, we'll see.
Or more.
Either way, there's going to be some movement. Or not. Again, I mean, to be honest, everything is still possible. Actionfreak could just fold here, and we don't see any fireworks.
See, no one's going to put us in the corner if we hedge our bets like this. If we go like this, go like this. There's also the third way it could go like. That's very possible.
All right, and it goes the most interesting way, because now a bunch of straights are out there. Obviously, a lot of two pairs are also out there. It's hard to see a hand that is weak at this stage. Well, I mean, relatively, in absolute terms, weak.
Right.
Because pretty much everything is two pair or more. And okay, Phil is probably in a tough spot now because he didn't snap call. He has something to think about, and well, there's a lot to think about. I mean, obviously, we don't know what kind of hand he's sitting here with, but the line by Actionfreak is very believable. For him to call against the raise, he needed to have some draws, and probably just a bare straight draw wouldn't be enough. So
what is it?
Yeah, exactly. We see he got there, and Phil couldn't fold his two pair. They just reset the table, and we're back to fresh tables. And another 3-bet.
Oh,
tough board for Phil.
Yep.
Well, he is going to check a lot, I would assume. But if he bets, half pot size again. Oh, goes for pot. Interesting.
Mixing it up. That puts Actionfreak in the tank.
All right, Actionfreak finds a raise and a quick all in by Phil.
Top set.
Oh, beautiful hand. Yeah, beautiful hand by in Phil's shoes, but yeah, well, set is a set, and it holds.
5-bet pot there.
And it's absolutely normal because they both get lucky and unlucky throughout the challenge. It's part of a game. You know, we saw Phil having a 300k plus winning day. Doesn't mean that Actionfreak was completely outmatched in that day. He probably was playing exactly the same game he's playing today.
No.
Same for Phil, but it's just sometimes it doesn't go your way, and those 10 binds can fly real quick.
Oh, yeah, at the beginning of the NVIDIA challenge, Phil got unlucky in a bunch of spots. It was sad to see.
Absolutely. So these things happen, and today we just see it again. You know, there's a lot of spots. Yeah, the big ones went Actionfreak's way today for the most part. Small pots went back and forth. They both did a lot of interesting moves. They both did some check raising, some 3-bet bluffing on the river.
Yep, some interesting leads on flops as well, where I was going to say we didn't expect a lead, but in fairness, Runchuks didn't expect a lead, and I follow your lead in that regard.
Right.
Wait,
so yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and it definitely doesn't seem like Phil is out of the match. Absolutely not. I don't think so. And they're both doing just fine. They're both playing good poker. Of course, tomorrow is a day off for Actionfreak. Was supposed to be a day off for both, but Phil, instead of just taking a day off, having some time for himself, he decided he wants to play none other than Jungle Man. So they're going to play 750 hands tomorrow. And well, yeah, we are in for a treat. And another treat is coming in 45 minutes or so when Sauce Ben Salsky, he's going to be streaming on Twitch, on his own Twitch, right there.
Oh, hang on. 3-bet pot with a pot-sized c-bet by Actionfreak on table 2, and Phil quickly calls.
Not the best card for Phil.
Because all his draws are not looking at that hot anymore, I guess. Not as exciting as without pairing.
Yeah. And plus, you know, the top pair no longer has many draws to the 2-pair because, well, 2-pair is very often not good enough anymore.
And Actionfreak goes for a smallish bet here, like 1/3 roughly. That's interesting. Goes for the lead, huh? Doesn't check it to Phil.
Yeah, but he was the original. He was the original aggressor, right? So he can definitely continue. He definitely has a lot of overpairs here, so he is interested in building the pot. He's interesting to charge Phil for drawing if he does in fact have a draw.
Yeah. And
some draws completed, obviously, now with an 8. But Actionfreak shouldn't be too scared from this card. We see him check. He still has a lot of hands he can check call with if Phil decides to bet. And Phil has definitely quite a few hands he can bet for value at this stage, and of course a few bluffs that he might decide to pull the trigger with.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Phil does. And if he checks, how does it, do we see a showdown if he checks, or do we only... Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Checks versus the nut flush draw and all the overcards. Still anyone's game. And in total, Phil is still up by quite a healthy bit, I believe.
Yeah, he's still probably around 200 up for the challenge. But to be honest, those 200, that's really not much, right? There's a lot of poker ahead. We still have over 10,000 hands ahead of us in the coming days. So
yeah, not to forget. Then that's going to shake down to what if they play 800-900 hands a day, that like 12 sessions or something like that. I'm amazed that they're getting their hands done so quickly. Ooh, hang on, there's a...
Well, he did think for quite a bit. Oh, and we see Actionfreak raising the river. And he gets looked up. Interesting. Action was bluffing with the second nut blocker. how the cash games have been treating me. Pretty good. I haven't been playing that much lately because there were a lot of things going on. We were putting out the new format for my podcast, so that took some time. And you guys, by the way, if you haven't checked it out, I would really appreciate it. Go ahead and check it out. We recently had a very interesting episode with Elliot Rowe. That guy is just incredible. So much great advice from him, so definitely go check it out if you haven't already. But otherwise, yeah, the games were good. It was all right. Today I had a pretty long session.
Do you have
a pretty rough one? I had quite a few kind of really bad coolers, but it's part of a game.
Oh, sorry to hear that part. A legitimate question in the chat. Fun. Where can we find your podcast? Oh, hang on. That has to be on the back burner because Big Pot Brewing now, after a race on table 2, 25K in the middle. If Phil calls, it would be more than 37K, I guess.
Yeah, let's see it play out, and then I'm gonna post the link. Oh, in fact, I don't need to. Yeah, it's on YouTube. If you, casters, and just click my YouTube.
Oh, there you go. There you have it.
And now it's not only on YouTube. We also have it on iTunes or wherever you find podcasts. It's just maybe it's not updated yet because we just launched it 2 days ago. But on YouTube, you definitely can see all the episodes and elsewhere. Nice. All right. So Phil did call, and Actionfreak ended up with the nuts.
Just as a reminder, and Ben Salsky's stream is going to start soon as well. So I would assume this is going to wind down soon. Triggers get pulled on table 2, however.
That's right.
Oh,
okay.
There we go. And did he not get snapped? Wait, what's happening?
Well, unfortunately, Phil had a weaker 7, but he did have outs. So much excitement and such a new element for cash game players. Really not something we're used to.
Yep, that was surreal. It was like out of a fairy tale. The whole development, the big downswing, the comeback, and then it coming down to the proverbial wire in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a treat. I was at the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody must have been, because if you weren't, I mean, you just, why the hell were you watching, really? Because clearly you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. That was grade A entertainment.
Oh, yeah. So from one perspective, obviously, I'm looking forward to something like this. From another perspective, imagine how much both of these guys have to go through to get to that point, right? It's quite quite stressful, I have to imagine. And you know, for Phil, if every challenge goes that way,
we're gonna see him
fun.
You know. Yeah, we're gonna see him age. Like the before after comparison is gonna be horrible. It's like if he became the president. They tend to age like 10 years for every year now.
Absolutely. Although if you look at Trump, he didn't age that much. It seems like whatever drugs he's on seems to be working.
I think all the bleach is a conservative.
Right.
Like
Are we? By the way, I still actually now I realize I still want to play in the United States. I still want to go there, and so please, you know, if it's just a joke, never mind.
Right,
Trump or whoever, just let me in. Let me play some poker. But anyway, in all seriousness, though, yeah, he doesn't seem to have aged that much.
That's true. That's true.
That's the key takeaway from today's stream. That and that. Well, you know, a few pods, big pods, went to Actionfreak. It seems like we're wrapping up. It was a great performance by both of them. We saw a lot of fun, action, and Source is going to be streaming right after this, so keep an eye out on him.
All right,
it's going to be exciting. And tomorrow, Jungleman against Phil Galfond are going to be playing a mini challenge, 750 hands.
Just a team's mini challenge instead of a day off.
Yeah, instead of a day off, 750 hands against none other than Jungleman.